of the lies. Who you gonna call when you get on the line? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 If there ain't no curve, there ain't no ball. The globe religion about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. I'm your host, Zach, Good Times for All, and today we're going to be talking about occult symbolism. I know this is one of those topics, some people think of it as, kind of hocus pocus, phooey, but the way I see it is it was a way to hide knowledge, and a lot of it, this knowledge had to do with physics, natural physics of this world, and how to control them, the different forces. In my opinion, that's what a lot of this, occulted symbolism, there's meaning behind each symbol. And it's really, it goes back, a long time.
When I took my art history class, they'd talk about all of the stained glass windows in the cathedrals, and they'd use those to point at like the stories on the windows and on the walls and the artwork for people who were illiterate and couldn't read the Bible. And so it's kind of similar to that, where people are pointing towards symbolism to try and teach people certain things who are illiterate. In this case,
yeah, that as well.
So the lessons are still there. You just have to have your eyes open to them.
Yeah, it was a different way of writing back then, especially if you look at the languages like Hebrew. They didn't have symbols that looked like letters when it started. It was pictographs, kind of like ancient Egyptian.
Yes.
So yeah, and then it transversed, and we can get into that too, because the whole Hebrew alphabet is just amazing. They found that when you actually speak the syllable, speak that sound, when you put it on an oscilloscope and collapse the wave, it actually makes that image. So Aleph will show the sign of an Aleph, and Bet will show Bet. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, how did they know that, way back when? Because it does, it radically changes from, ancient and Paleo Hebrew are kind of similar. Ancient is more pictograph, and Paleo is kind of like, not so much the pictures, but like stick figures of the pictures. And then it jumps to modern Hebrew, which is just totally different. Some of them are kind of similar, but for the most part, but
Hebrew's
we're getting
really
off topic.
fascinating that way.
Yeah. So we're going to say hello to the panel. We're going to start off with Miss Karen B. Karen, how is your week going, ma'am?
It's going pretty good. Happy
How
to
was
be
the
here.
interview with Steph? I wasn't able to listen to it yet.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It's so funny now because I was starting to think about it. I'm like, he's been on the show with us like 5 or 6 times now.
He's a regular now, yeah.
Right? It's like every once in a while there he is, which is pretty cool. So Yeah, it went well.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle, how's your week been, sir? I know you've been busy. I've been seeing all the videos.
Yeah, very busy. Just still trying to get it out there because my channel got deleted, and so yeah, that whole thing, it's been quite the process to come back. But yeah, I'm really excited. I just got my time off request in for March 2nd when Mark Sargent's flying out to Salt Lake to do the Utah area Flat Earth meetup. And so
Nice.
yeah, people come from all over for that thing, and it is amazing. Last year they did it in a school of all places, and so yeah, it was amazing.
Awesome, man. Yeah. You'll have to get pictures and videos. Are you going to be doing interviews there at all? Are you planning on doing anything like
Absolutely,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Always working.
That's
All
great.
right.
You need to take advantage of those times when everybody's all together. That's
Yeah.
because
So
we don't do that enough. So
yeah, last year I was speaking, and so this year we've got Mark Sargent speaking. That means I get to go out there and do watch everyone else talk and try to get everyone else talking as much as I can. And so
yeah,
I
but that's
get to
great.
go
It'll be
with the
great
crowd.
content for your channel.
Yeah,
So yeah, do it.
yeah, and I love it, and so it'll be really fun.
People love stuff like that too. They
Yeah.
like to see other people who think like
Mhm.
they do.
Yeah,
And that they actually get together and are normal people.
Yeah, and you've always meet like the most amazing people there. And so one of the great things I like about all this is there's kind of like an inner craving to fly with the eagles, you know what I mean? And so this is the eagle's nest where, you know, all the people come together that are kind of part of your group.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something. If you've never been to a meetup, especially one that's, 20, 30 plus people, it's hard to explain how it changes you. You just know now that there's other people out there like you, and they're normal, they live normal lives, they're not crazy nutters. Yeah, it's a great thing, and everybody needs to experience that, because it makes you braver, and it makes you want to go out there and spread the message even more. Yeah,
I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And the Flat Earth Clock app shows us that all the time. Just more and more blue dots just popping up everywhere.
yeah, I haven't checked it in a while. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, but I love it because like I can just walk into any city. Literally, I can walk into any city and instantly set up Flat Earth meet and greets just like that. Just, hey, I'm in town. Anyone want to do a meetup? And they're like, oh yeah. And so it's really cool that way.
Yeah, it's taken off, man. It's awesome. And if you go to one of Karen B's parties, one of her meetups, look out. That's when
Yeah.
that's when the good times roll right there. All right, and last but not least, we have Mrs. Cammie Nodell. Cammie, how are you doing? And you are muted.
Ricky, mistake, unmuted. I am good. It's good to be here tonight. I feel so dark compared to everybody else, and I am. It's about one of the very last weeks in this dark hovel before I get back to my desk and have my displays and my microscope and everything set up. And so I'm getting excited to set up the lab again. Sad that we don't have it on some of this, because some of the occult symbolism shows up. You can reproduce it in laboratory, so that makes it fun. Karen, it was great. I did watch the show with Steph on it. And yeah, he's pretty much a regular. He's real comfortable on the show. And it was a great show. And I recommend everybody that didn't see it, go and watch. It's a different world than it was 10 years ago. And when I say a different world, I mean in a lot of different ways. World is not a globe. The world literally means age of man. And the age of man, we're starting to grow and do this. Occult, I know that I grew up thinking occult was a kind of a dirty word. I grew up in the Catholic religion, and occult was something you didn't want to look at. It had a icky connotation.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was bad. Occult meant bad. If you look at it, it just means that it's hidden, that they went out and they hid it. And another word that's interesting in looking up the etymology, and that is arcane, which this is arcane symbolism, which is it's mysterious information that's intentionally hidden, that's supposedly understood by very few. So I think that that's an interesting topic of what we're looking at is arcane symbolism and occult symbolism. And I think that's a neat place to start with is this all of this stuff when you grow up with, again, when you look at the different symbology and trying to come across what the truth is, you come across one really strong truth. And the strong truth is that they've separated us into groups. And within our groups, we badmouth or make fun of the other groups. And they separate the information. And it's very interesting. Interesting by design, because again, when you start incorporating the information with each other, it starts to become coherent, in my opinion. But again, your example of that is if you belong to a church, grew up in a church at all, I think that you're told not to look at any of this. This is witchcraft. This is pagan. This is something that, again, don't even look into. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, my mom grew up Catholic, and even though she didn't really push that on me, a lot of the values that she had were Catholic. And yeah, anytime I'd ask her questions about, like the occult or, just things like that. Usually it had to do with movies or shows or stories that I was reading. And she always said, that had to do with dark magic. That was like in all the stories, it was the dark magic that the good wizards would never do. And most of the good wizards didn't even know. They wouldn't even, learn it. They weren't allowed to learn it. And they listened when they were told they weren't allowed to learn it. Occult meant bad when I was growing up.
And we even have the word cult, which is different, is more based on culture. And you think of cult and you kind of match it with cult. And really, the two words have no base meaning together. They have no, occult and cult or culture are two totally separate base words off of a completely different etymology. And again,
Wow, that's weird. Yeah. I
because
would
you
have
would
thought
do
for
it
sure they were
for
connected in
sure
some sort of way.
occult stuff, and we do the way that we push it. You connect the two, but those two words are not connected. So, Kyle, you grew up in a very religious atmosphere. What is like the Mormon take on the different symbolisms and different, again, sciences and looking at it? Is that something you would look into, not look into, or?
You have to be a little bit more specific here.
Say like
Like
alchemy,
again, where you're alchemy and
things
or
like
tarot
that.
cards or things like
Tarot
that.
cards
What would you
is
think?
definitely kind of like a taboo thing. Yeah. Anything that is like could be seen as witchcraft. And so I think that's kind of what alchemy, a lot of people end up looking into that and say that is like witchcraft or kind of has the impression of witchcraft or something like that.
Well, a lot of
from
witchcraft,
culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
implements alchemy into it. Like I have a grimoire,
Mhm.
and I started reading it, and it's just crazy. It's all about, you know, you are mixing things and making things for people to use or to, like a salve or something like that. But then it's also talking about, putting your will upon them and making them, feel a certain way. Or yeah, it's crazy the stuff that's in these. I opened it, I started reading it, and then I closed it, and I've never opened it again. I was like, yeah, I don't want to know this stuff. I don't even want to think about doing this type of stuff to people, manipulating people. But yeah, there's a
Yeah.
difference between alchemy and witchcraft, but it's definitely, there's a lot of similarities to it.
That's well, that's like pharmakeia from scripture,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is drug sorcery. That's
Hmm.
why, with all this pharmaceutical stuff, it's like, what do you think they're doing? Who,
Yeah, they barely even changed the word,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that was one of the things that really my eyes became open to after Flat Earth is kind of the whole pharmakeia and pharmacy. And yeah, there's all these other things. I'm just like, kind of the writing's on the wall, and you just never had the eyes to see it before. But once you see it, you don't unsee it.
Well, and that's what a lot of occulted knowledge is. It's things that, you know, a large group of people can walk by, and only a couple in that group may know what the two pillars on the side of this door represent.
Yeah.
You know,
And also, what is the definition of witchcraft? Like, what is considered witchcraft?
I
Right.
think it's, yeah, imposing your will upon others. That'd be
And
my impression of
and
That
witchcraft.
also
sounds like
talking
it's
to dead
normal
people.
government.
Well, yeah, that too.
And you're not supposed
Yeah.
to try to talk to the dead. Necromancy.
Yeah, like the Ouija board and stuff like that. Yeah.
But the occult,
Yeah.
you know, but the occult, like I have a encyclopedia of the Kabbalah book, because I just wanted to like look and see what they thought about stuff, like, because you know they have totally different meanings for all the symbols and stuff, you know. So it's once in a while I look in there just to see what they've got, but it's
You
kind
gotta
of
know your enemy, right?
right? Exactly.
No, I
Yeah.
looked at the Kabbalah stuff. I have like a book I was looking at before this. I don't know
There's
if you
like
can-
different teachings.
different-
Put it a
different
little
parts-
bit
there's
closer
parts
there,
of the Kab-
Cammie.
Oops. Okay, we'll try it a little bit closer. I don't know what you have on
Now
there, but
down
this
a hair.
is-
There you go. Signs and Symbols source book.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have this, the Kabbalah, you have the Masonic stuff. Now, the Masonics, can Mormons become Masons?
Apparently we were banned from Masonry for like a long time, a long time. Like they didn't want anything to do with us. And so, yeah. I'm not sure if that's
And-
lifted now or not. But I don't know. This is what I heard.
I know that Catholics could not become Masons, not because the Masons would not take the Catholics, but because Catholic religion said that you could not become a Mason and look into their stuff, and they had their own little Knights of Columbus and things like that. I wasn't sure about Mormons, but I know, again, like the different Protestants, but I know one of the rules of becoming a Mason is that you have to believe in God. And so I found that an interesting, you know, again, and then when you start looking at the Masons, it all looks like, when you work its way up, it almost looks like flat Earth. Well, we'll get into some of that. It looks like a flat Earth map, and a lot of information embedded in it. The same with the tarot cards. The same with a lot of the information. They tell us not to look at it to do like predictions and things like that. But when you look at all of this information that's passed on through your symbology, and that, again, I'm going to agree with Zach that I think that you need something to hand down through the generations to make it arcane. What you do is you come up with a lot of stories at different levels to different people and put out so many different meanings that you hide the meaning. And in the arcane, they tell you that's exactly how you do it. And you set up, again, a different lie at different levels in the Masons. Again, if you look at the Masonic tracing boards or the different symbols, as you become a Mason at this level, it means this, but you learn that it's a different meaning at this level. Just like your lie is different at every level, your truth is different at different levels. And again, they all could be true in their own nuances, with, again, just what I would call the top levels, your occulted or your hidden, your arcane knowledge, your
Well,
only
morals
very,
and
very, very few.
dogmas. That
Right.
wasn't given out until it was either like 14th degree Mason, maybe, or maybe it was 7th. Don't quote me on it, but I know you couldn't be just a 3rd degree Master Mason, and you weren't given a copy of Morals and Dogmas yet. You had to, advance through further degrees, multiple more degrees than you already were, to receive that kind of knowledge. And I know we can just go look it up now because there's books that have been sold, but that knowledge was never supposed to get out. That's occulted knowledge right there. And it's filled with symbolism, all kinds of, it's a neat book.
I looked up the definition of the word cult some time ago, and a cult
Mhm.
is just a particular system of religious worship, especially with reference to rites and ceremonies. And so if you're a part of a religion with rites and ceremonies, you're a cult. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
like what religion isn't?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
religion wouldn't
Right.
be?
It's your
occult
it's your cult. It's your
Mhm.
culture. It's your culture, which is again very different than the word occult. And like you said, you're a cult, but you're not hidden or that. Occult is an interesting word. It sounds like a cult.
Yeah. If you've got rites and
but this-
ceremonies in it, then yeah. And so I'm
Yeah.
just thinking
And
about like your typical mass, like, you know, yeah, or baptism. Oh my goodness,
Right.
you guys get baptized in your religion? I'm like, yeah. So-
Now go ahead and look up occult etymology or definition for us, Kyle. Tell us what you
Okay.
find there.
Let's see.
Occult is relating to magic, astrology, system of claiming use or knowledge of secret supernatural powers or agencies. So that's sounding a lot more like witchcraft. and
Okay, now
things like
take it
that.
to your etymology, though. Your etymology, take it back to where it came from and what it meant. Always go back that extra step from where we are now to what it came from, what the root was. What did it really
Yeah.
mean throughout time? Because I
Cut
do know
off from
that.
view by interposing something.
Mhm.
That's a verb.
Yeah. Hidden from view, concealed. In early
Mhm.
science, not apparent on mere inspection, but discoverable by experimentation. Wow. That's
Right.
Like
It's
early
the
science,
things that
that's
you
what it's
would.
called.
Mhm.
Yes, your occulted knowledge, and they show you.
To
Chris
hide.
Ramsey
Solar.
is
It's not immediately observable through experimentation. Wow.
And then from Latin oculare to conceal.
to conceal what's hidden, but what's there. The thing about it is you're
Solar.
concealing what's already there in science. You are looking for, again, like their waves, or they show. It's very interesting. I don't know if anybody else is a Chris Ramsey fan. He does puzzles. He does online puzzles and solves them online.
Yeah.
And he has people send him like some of the most difficult puzzles. And one of the places it likes to send him puzzles is called Illuministerium. I'm trying to think of it. It's almost like an Illuminati name or that. But they even do it that in order to solve these puzzles, they'll in the puzzle thing attach Polaroid filters and different things, saying that you can't see, everything is blurry until you need the right filters, to see. I think it's interesting how they it's been put out so much in pop culture that right now that again in your occult to actually see what's there. And again, they're using just regular filters. Like again, you can use a ferrocell and look at magnetic fields. You can use a Polaroid filter and pick up the different optical axes and clear up things that are very, very blurry before in nature. Ways to hide them, things that you don't see that that are there.
Real quick, big shout out
Yes.
to Tony Coriolis over there on Rockfin. Thank you for the tip, sir.
Arizona.
Much love.
Oh, thank you.
Shout out to Tony Coriolis.
Yeah, isn't he always calling in Coffee Talk?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's
He
one
calls
of
into
the.
all the shows, I think.
Yeah,
He's a good
he's a
caller
regular.
too.
Yeah, yeah, always a good one. Thank you, Tony.
Mhm.
Much love. Sorry, Cam, I didn't mean to derail
No,
you there.
you're fine because I'm trying to figure out how to share a screen.
He's the one who
without
makes the
talking
really
anyway.
awesome flat earth coins.
Who made
Yeah.
with the flat earth coins by which one? Which
Tony
one is that?
Coriolis. He's the one who gave me my coin. So
Oh, he probably got it. There people were selling those at the event at Flattoberfest.
Ryan.
yeah, there's a whole bunch
Ryan.
of the Arizona flat earthers over there.
That's awesome. Yeah, man.
Are you ready, Cam?
Sure.
Okay. Oh yeah. What are these called? Tracing boards?
These are Masonic. We're just going to dive in and look at some different some different symbols and start talking about them because.
But they are.
Excellent.
Aren't they called tracing boards?
Mm-hmm.
These
Yeah.
are tracing boards. These are Masonic tracing boards. We want to look at some Masonic symbols, and this is something that's going to change at every level too. This is a first degree Masonic tracing board.
Explain
can
exactly
pull
what a
in.
tracing board is. Is that like a wood cutting or something?
What is a tracing board? I don't know. I'm not a Mason. I know that it's something that you have it in different degrees that you look at and they're pictures. So I could say,
I thought it was like an artistic term.
They are. They're usually drawn by Masons.
Uh-huh.
It's like Masonic art, considered. And if you look at them, a lot of them are very, very similar. You're always going to have two pillars, and you're either going to have a ladder or a stairway in the center or something like that. You have to walk between the two pillars and ascend. And that's like the main premises for all the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
okay, this was a great question. I know the artwork caught my eye, but we have it up here for y'all. I think you can still see my screen that we tapped in while you're doing it. Tracing boards were originally used by the master mason to draw and calculate the design of the proposed building. These days, they are allegorical illustrations of the mysteries of the various degrees. They're originally used. Okay, this tells me even more on it, especially when we go back and put it to the temples. If you remember, on the temples that used to place your pillars, you had your arc, and there were ways to communicate. And this transcended the different religions, by the way. It was with the Asher poles before, and again, does the different things. But this is saying that you build it, and we're going to get to there. If you build this, so this is your tracing board by the advanced, and when you look at the first degree, we can pull up several of them from different lodges in that. Oh, and they won't let us just pull up the artwork.
I think you have to like say open image or somehow. There you go. Open image in new tab.
You had it. Go down.
No, I think that went to link. No? Oh.
There you go. Can you zoom that in a little bit?
Oh, they are just making it hard.
So they won't let you actually
Anybody can go
zoom
into
in on it. Okay.
Mm-mm.
That's all right.
So they're saying that they were used on it. This one, you show a single floor on it. You'll show your checkerboard on the bottom. You show your two pillars, and your two pillars will create another pillar.
I see
and a
3
stairwell.
pillars though. That's
Mhm.
weird.
This one is
And it's
showing
not
it.
J and B. Usually it'll say J on one side and B on the other for Joaquin and Boaz.
And what does this
They're,
one say? I cannot. Let me get my glasses on.
and
This
the
looks
other
like a
one is a
tarot card or
W
something.
in the back.
It's S, B, and W.
SB and W.
That's weird. I've seen them with multiple pillars.
These all look like cards.
Yeah, they're artistic renderings that Masons have drawn throughout the years that artists doing art.
It also has the cardinal. I can share and make the pictures big if you want.
But
Or if you want to display when I talk about like some of the generics, like the tracing boards. I am just pulling up first degree, your second degree.
it's good to know about the symbols, and that way you recognize them in other places. And so
It's
when
really
you
good
see
'cause they show up
when you see
everywhere.
this, when you see the symbolism like right here, and then you walk into like the Queen of England's palace or something like that, and you're seeing the checkerboard floor and you're seeing the pillars, and it's like you kind of put one and one together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of checkerboards too. Okay, see, this is one of the different ones I was telling you about where it's a stairway now. And it's not like the pillars or you're walking through an archway, but there's pillars on both sides. And you can see at the top the celestial sphere. Usually they'll have the sun on one side, the moon on the other, always above the pillars. And I don't see any letters or anything on those pillars.
This one, we can get another one. This one, it shows on your second degree, you're going to show a secondary floor on it. In other words, a ceiling. A lot of the times they'll show it right above you, but this one you're taking it with the pillars going up, and you'll see there's another floor. We can, I don't know if somebody wants to, because I am on a laptop and I'm having a hard time because I can't, like on the two screens, normally I preview and bring up on the screen and bring it down. And so I'm working at it where it's not letting me do this, but you'll look again, your two pillars, you will see Joaquin and Boaz on them.
I don't see it though.
Making your, that one you don't, but you will.
That's
So
what I was
once you
wondering
find
if
some-
if maybe they're not taught about, since this is the second degree, maybe they're not taught about Joaquin and Boaz yet.
Let's just do Masonic
any
tracing
of 'em?
boards. Could be that we're talking about it and they take it off.
No.
No, I mean,
I've looked at
pulled
so
up
many
hundreds
of them. There's
You've
one
looked
right
at them and
there.
there's so. Do you see one with
Yeah, I see a J
this one?
on that one. Yeah. The 4 cardinal directions around the edge. No, that's an upside down T and
Where?
an I down in the bottom
yeah.
left.
Yeah. They always have the cardinal directions, and it's always facing east. At E is at the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big thing. Facing east, sun and the moon at the top. These are just a lot of different artist depictions, and always a checkerboard floor. Always.
Here's your Joaquin and Boaz if you have on here. Here's on your tarot card.
And right,
Joaquin
like
and
you were saying, tarot card, bad, right? That's what you were taught, Kyle.
Yeah, but I never really understand why.
Yeah, me
I-
neither.
Yeah.
But if you
my-
look at it, what is she holding in her hand? Can you read it? Zoom in there and look at that if you can. Look
This
at what
is
she's
the
reading.
thumbnail of my stream that I do every Saturday with Jack.
Mhm. And so when you look at it,
She's reading the Torah.
Yeah, she's holding the Torah. And then there's
look at it
another
for the sake of
card.
these
the
art
wheel.
lessons, it's something else, but than doing like magic things with it. You know what I mean?
Well, you don't do magic with tarot cards. It's not what they are.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of why they've been kind of blacklisted, because people are like trying to tell the future or something like that with them.
Yeah, but you don't do that either. You don't tell the future. You don't talk to dead people. That's not at all what tarot is.
Yeah.
Now
so I think
people will
that's
swindle other people saying this is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
with
anybody
these
doing that is
cards."
doing bad stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's kind of
Okay.
where it got the bad name from.
But
But
if
that's
you
what
were betting,
that's what they do in movies
Mhm.
anyways. Oh well, I'm gonna like throw the bones or something like that and kind of tell you what's in there. And I think that's kind of the way they turned it into.
But you know,
is-
they do. There's times
yeah.
where they do that in scripture, where they throw
Yeah.
the things and then they read it, and it's not talked about in a bad way or anything, like
Yeah.
that. So and that's kind of this what tarot is, because the cards just have different meanings, and
Mhm.
some represent this or that or whatever, but it's none of it is about telling the future. It's just talking about what could possibly be going on in your life, and it's really up to you if the reading or the person who pulls the cards, is pulling anything relevant to you. It could not be relevant to you at all. And I actually recently I was kind of realizing maybe if anybody does want to use tarot cards or do tarot reading, you should be doing it for yourself. You should really be pulling your own cards, right? If you want to do anything about it. And it's not about, getting into necromancy or telling the
It is-
future or anything like that.
Last time I touched tarot cards, Cammie told me to pick a card. And what I did, Hank was sitting right in front of me, and I just started taking the cards and I was setting them down one at a time. And he reached out and put his paw on one of them when I picked it up. I was like, okay, this is my card. And I handed it to Cammie, and it was like, I forget what it was. It was a good one, though. I forget what it was, but it was like one of the really good ones that you can get. And I was like, oh, thanks, Hank.
Very different from Ouija boards, though, right?
Right, no, it's not like Ouija boards at all.
Yeah.
Kyle, when I look at
Ouija
tarot
boards
cards,
are
this is
creepy.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
When I look at the cards, I look at them like this. I'm looking at this, and I see two pillars. Joaquin and Boaz. I see that she's holding the Toro or Tarot written backwards. You could do it that way. I see here that this looks like a ruler to me. And I see when I zoom in on it, especially on the card itself, this right here that looks blurred here is a really strong number 1. So I see that you have a pillar, you have a length that you could measure a pillar, and you have a measuring device on this side. Could they be embedding information in the card? Could they be saying, again, when we talk in cubics and talk about building things, a lot of the times you do ratio and proportion. So could this be something that you would maybe use in tandem with the Bible to scale things? Because again, they say you have to build a certain size, but math is scalable, or most things are scalable or fractal. So to me, this is more of a ratio or proportion. What information could you look at the card and get? I could be crazy,
Ooh,
but it's like, why would they put a ruler on a card showing the two pillars putting together?
This is the high priestess. She is a ruler. It's kind of the thing. And you're seeing like a black and white, and the J. I'm also thinking of like just, and being a ruler is being an example towards people, and it's a measuring device. And so, at least that's what we're continually taught in scriptures, is when you are a ruler, you are setting the standard for everyone else to live by. And so you're expected to do these things, and that's kind of how you're judging right and wrong from. And so this, she's holding the Torah, she is being a judge, and that's where the ruler comes into play here.
That, or if you look at it against the Masonic symbols, where they have, again, the square and different measuring devices and point to measurements. I agree with both portions of it.
Yeah, the scales of justice. The scales of justice. That's another ruling thing, kind of setting the standard and for measurements.
Is that one of the tarots? Is there a tarot that has the scale on it?
Yeah, it's the high priestess. It's the high priestess.
I thought that was what kind of we're looking at. She's got scales too?
There's multiple different tarot card pictures, kind of like the Masonic tracing boards. There's a lot of different artists that'll make their own sets.
Oh, okay. So I thought these were like really, really old pictures, not new.
No, well, these are the original tarot deck. It's the Rider-Waite tarot deck is the original one, and then everybody kind of just sort of started making their own versions with different artwork. But they all have the basic same meaning. Although some people make different decks where they have different cards. But this is just the original Rider-Waite deck.
Yeah, her symbol that she uses is right there to the left of Cammie's mouse. If she goes just down to the right on the right-hand side of that card in that cloud. Nope.
You're looking for
the... Yeah, it's right. You see it
right
now,
here.
right?
Oh, it's right here, yeah. This is her signature, the one that
you'll see that in pretty much all the cards.
All the artwork. That's her artist signature.
That's her artist signature. So any artwork she does,
another scale there. You see that? On the thing running up her, whatever that is going around her wrap. Yeah.
Her wrap is a snake, it looks like. Could be a wrap, but it looks almost like a snake.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you make of the four?
The two batons.
Here's what I make of it.
Ooh, two batons.
That's really easy. Your four corners, and here they are on the ground on another card. They're in the air with the wings on them. So we'll look at another card on it next on here. But here you show that they're holding the two pillars. And when you hold the two pillars correctly and align them correctly, and I'm guessing, again, add in, we'll talk about that later, electricity, or we'll get into the sine wave. You do the two pillars, it pops out the four corners, and you have the world.
Four winds.
These four corners. These are in the Bible, your four corners.
The four angels at the corners.
Your four angels that are represented in the astrology, your four signs are represented with, again, Scorpio done in different phases. Scorpio, you have the three phases of Scorpio, and so you'll see the different phases of it in here.
I think
And you'll notice that they're grounded here on the world. This is interesting because if you do the Wheel of Fortune card, you'll
Which
notice
also
that,
spells out Torah
which
and
also
has
spells out.
Yod He Vav He in it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting too. You'll have that. Remember your four corners of the world. You have also a group of them in the sky. How do I know they're in the sky? Because they're in the clouds with wings on, as opposed to your last card. They were on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
This
much of the
one-
symbolism is like pure like biblical symbolism. I'm looking at the ox.
It is.
and the
That's
lion,
exactly
and-
what.
yeah.
That's yes.
Well,
it's
yeah,
all
that
of your
actually
biblical-
right there, Yod He Vav
Mhm.
A
He,
serpent.
is
Torah,
not in
Bible, yeah.
is not in the King James Bible, I believe, not one time, is it?
They
What?
edited it out and they
Yod He Vav He,
with
They
AH
change
Lord
it.
and
replacing with
God.
Lord.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they change it to Lord and God. Yeah.
that's supposed to be, the Creator's true name right there, and they
That's why we
removed
read
it.
from the scriptures version on our
Exactly.
show.
Yeah,
And yet, yeah, they're always saying, don't take anything out of the Bible. You know what I mean? And so yeah, they're blatantly doing that.
yeah. I mean, it's in the Torah. You don't remove or add to. You
Yeah.
just don't. These are the rules.
Yeah,
Period.
and yet the King James Bible is like guilty of that all over the place. Yeah.
Now, the most, especially in the King James, the most guilty upon word that they take out and replace, and they replace it with words like grove is one of the favorite words to replace it, is Asherah, like your Asherah tree, your Asherah poles, undoing it, or we would guess on your Sphinx. And even what you take the root name to mean, which is east, you'll notice that like when you go to Egypt, your Sphinx is what we call the Sphinx is facing directly east, and Masonic buildings have that same symbology on them facing east. And this you have it sitting right here, which I'm guessing when you have your Wheel of Fortune and your four corners, these all look like directionals to me, like ordinals on directions, like setting information on what east is, where again things are on the card. It's just I don't know what your take on it is, but when you look at that and see that, again, your arrows have direction, you have your four corners of the world in the sky, and to me, it looks like it's setting directions. This, when you look at our magnetic field and look at this, I think this is very interesting. We have this overlaid on a card. I don't have it on this computer. I don't know if you have that available, Karen, where you've got the magnetics just cleanly in the center of this. But if you lay this and do the magnetics, you'll interesting, like where it goes off the map and opens up is this area here where Anubis is laying across is where the magnetics wander off the map. And if you were to, point Australia on the pole there, the magnetics start moving up. I might be able to find it on here. I can look a minute.
So pointing
if
east
anybody else
has a lot
has.
to do with the direction of the rising sun. And
The
that's a lot
rising
of
sun, exactly, yeah.
the rising sun is very, very symbolic. And
Yes.
Where it starts. And again, if you think about it, Cal, think about long before we had a globe. And when we had a globe, why do we have an east and a west? You're on a globe, it's a circle. Why is it the Western hemisphere and the Eastern hemisphere on a globe? What sense would that make? I mean, you could have it, but why would you have the East and the West? And if it really was a globe, tell me how you can make sense out of that. Think about it. There wouldn't be any, I don't think I've got it on this.
Shout
one.
out to
Hold on,
Richard
okay.
B, who is gifting memberships to GLOBEBUSTERS on YouTube. Thank you, Richard, for supporting the channel. You're the best.
Oh, thank you, Richard. And became a member himself. Much love, brother. It was so cool meeting somebody that came all the way from Australia
I know.
to come hang out. That was just, yeah, too cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at these Masonic tracing boards. I'd never looked at them by degree. The third degree
Yeah.
is
Third
eerie.
degree is eerie. That's where you get to the coffin.
The coffin, yeah, I don't see any pillars at all. There's no stairway or anything. It's just
It's
like
a dust
a
one.
hallway. Yeah, it's weird. That's your master when you become a master mason and you take your pledge.
Third
I
or
will
33rd?
third.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, third
What pledge
degree
are
is
you
a
talking
Master
about?
Mason, where you hold a dagger to your heart. You have to
Uh-huh.
undo your shirt and hold the dagger on your heart and say, I would rather pierce my heart with this dagger than tell the secrets of the lodge and yada yada yada. I don't know how it exactly goes, but yeah, I think that's that one. When you pledge your life, you become a master, and then you're part of the lodge. You don't have to advance any more further than that. Most of those guys do that and sit around and play ping pong and drink beer, and drive around in little cars and wear funny hats and, have bake sales or sell onions. And yeah, I've seen them do all kinds of stuff. They raise money for charities and all kinds of stuff like that. Most of them are good people. Most of them own businesses, in the local town. And being a Mason is good for business. I had a couple buddies that joined the lodge just for that because it helped the business. So yeah, I'm not. Some people throw them all under the bus, and I'm not. You can't really.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, a lot of good people in there that don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not taught the things at the higher levels.
And you just see like the basic stuff is, oh wow, it's a good thing. They're out there raising money for charity. How is that a bad thing? You know what I mean? And that's all you see is the front of people out there trying to go out and do good things.
Yeah, I hear they're having trouble with numbers lately. So 4th degree, I'm starting to see. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3. 4 is a wild one too. Oh, that's the York Rite. Isn't York Rite the 32nd degree though?
I look at the pictures and match with the. I actually don't go into a lot of what they say and do on it because, again, I think a lot of it is distraction and matching up. And what I don't think is pareidolia, but again, is always a possibility on it. I'm matching up what goes across all different symbologies. And your 2 pillars with your staircase and your checkered board, your one-eyed close, a lot of your different Masonic symbols that just transcend all of it. If we took it back and went back to last week or different weeks where we talked about the magnetics, and we talked about like the dipole here, or pillar here, here, your quadruple here. This is called a dipole loop. So if you have a dipole loop that would create this, let's see. And you look at dipole loop and the dipole loop, these patterns are patterns that you would actually get your ferro, your unseen patterns, the alignments of your ferro that line up. If you create a dipole loop, what you get is an owl. You get an owl face with one eye closed. And so to me, that's eye-catching. I don't know. I want other people's opinion.
Oh yeah, the owl is a big part of occult symbolism.
That is a huge part of occult symbolism. So I look at occult symbolism and I look at the magnetics and things produced and wonder, is there a connection between the unseen, what we can't see, what is the basis of our flat earth and the things they're hiding, and the occult symbology? And I keep on getting hits. I keep on getting pillar hits and that on the magnetics.
I learned recently that Pokemon is just like covered in like alchemic symbols, like crazy. Yeah.
When you do magnetic dipole on this, your quadruple field that you get here, if I go into like the intelligence of things, this is great. That one I want to do there. But if you look at things like the checkerboard pattern that they're putting there, and you look at the magnetic properties of a checkerboard lattice and how they can do the different levitations, what it does, it creates boundaries, it does, in other words, I suggest heavy reading for everybody, but just even getting into the things, the magnetic properties of ferromagnetic mixed spin.
Can you zoom in on that a little bit, Cami, please?
Yeah, I should. I can certainly try to with, yeah.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So again, I did paper after paper of this, and the magnetic properties of ferromagnetic mixed spin icing model and a checkerboard lattice are studied using Monte Carlo simulations. A variation of total magnification and susceptibility with the crystal field has been established. Not quite sure. Let's read across on there. There's multiples. We'll jump down to the obtained results show that the crystal field induced long-range spin-spin correlations and reduced transition temperature on this system. I have, this probably was not the best text to go into on it, but what they do is again, these have a property where they create boundaries. They hold this, you can have, oops, let's go back and get into this.
Sorry about that. I had to step away for a second, get some more juice.
You can control levitation. You can control exactly your intelligent design on it. I'm trying to get the exact words on it, but again, you can control your diamagnetism, create boundaries, create, extend, stabilize. Again, some of the same things you're getting with your quadrupole, but actually setting a base of it in a field. Now, I think it's interesting that they show the checkerboards, and I'm not going to, I would have to look it up. I read all of this stuff, and I swear after reading it, sometimes it slips out of my brain as quickly as it slips in because of the different directions we're going in with the magnetics. Did a poor job of presenting that one, but the intelligence is there on it. In other words, I think they're showing this for a reason. Their checkerboards that they're putting on it, if you match it up with the magnetics, there's a reason for it. There would be a reason for it. Keep on going, but I'm trying to pull the properties, and in my brain, I keep on pulling the properties of the quadrupole, and I'm not going there, but the checkerboard itself has a deep, deep meaning, very much like your dipole has a meaning, like your quadrupole extends, it sets your boundary. These ones produced, I think it produced a field and locked in the field around them. You're talking about having fields that can hold gases and that, and they're using these to control it. So we're using them intelligently now, and we're showing these different patterns as a symbolism, when I think that what they're putting in the symbolism is very much how the world works.
Yeah, a lot of the signs and electricity, when you're dealing with schematics and things like that, are very similar to a lot of occult symbolism. But yeah, I think they're telling the way, you know, it's a physics manual, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that you almost pass it. I almost think that, like with the tarot cards and that, you pass it down and get the decks out there and do it with the fortune telling ability and keep them out on the market and give different meanings of it. But looking at the cards itself, the information that's embedded in the cards, it's just a different way to look at it. It's a different way to look at it. And I think there's a lot of information to be gained from it.
I've been seeing t-shirts lately, a lot of t-shirts with the tarot cards, like right on the t-shirts. And because I'm aware of them now, I know what that is. Yeah.
I put a link that shows, it's a paper that has pictures of a magnetic checkerboard pattern if you want to look at it.
Alrighty.
I almost want to go back through my history and pull out some of the verbiage because I had it perfect before, and now every time I try to pull it, I go back to quadrupole, and I apologize. So, Karen, what is your take on the occult and the different things? Are you Do you think it's part of flat Earth? Because I definitely think it is.
Oh, definitely, because they hid the truth about the Earth. That was a
Yeah.
cult from us, right?
Hidden truths.
And
That's what
then
it's all
after
about.
we got into that, we figured out a whole bunch more stuff. We were like, oh, and you know what? This wasn't true either. And you know what? That wasn't true either. It's like all over the place. So yeah, they hid a lot from us and continue to hide a lot from us.
And
So
I think that I want to play something. Zach, I dropped in your Skype a video saying, how on earth did ancient civilizations get Mercury? But I put it with a timestamp on it. I don't want to get a copyright strike and do the whole video on it. But I'd be interested in, like, again, looking at a take of this, what we learn, how we apply it, and going forward, because this is, again, part of the way they teach us in our schools with the thought process on it. What's occulted? This is occulted knowledge too. But again, the thought process going forward. Do you have that video? It should be ready to go in queue.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
And what this is talking about is all kinds of, in ancient civilizations, we showed that thousands of years ago they had Mercury. And it's like, how did they know how to get Mercury? How did they extract it? How did they use it? We're so advanced and they're so backwards. How did this happen? And what I have to laugh at is they're reading their alchemy books and trying to reproduce it. So my humor gets to the second part of the reproducing it. And I'd like your opinions on it and that. And again, going forward, what is our science thinking?
Okay, here we go. From the timestamp.
Ago, from
Okay.
Egypt to America to China, people were handling mercury. But how? How did all of these ancient civilizations get their hands on this amazing substance? The answer is mercury 2 sulfide, which is found naturally in a beautiful red ore, more commonly known as cinnabar.
Mhm.
It's the most prominent naturally occurring mercury ore, and there's evidence that humans have been mining cinnabar since the Neolithic times, most likely to be used for paints and cosmetics. At some point, its toxic nature became known. In ancient Rome, for instance, slaves and criminals were often forced to work in cinnabar mines, and it was effectively considered a death sentence for them. But then, how did these ancient civilizations take this rock and extract liquid mercury from it? In 2022, a team of chemists and historians from the University of Bologna read through surviving documents written by alchemists almost 2,000 years ago, and they attempted to recreate these ancient methods in a modern lab. They published
I'm
a
just looking at that logo and the
about their
symbolism in that.
Yes, sir. You'll start seeing the pillars everywhere,
Oh yeah, seeing the pillars,
especially in the
seeing like
churches and the, yeah.
a central Christ-like figure, I think, with the halo right there in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see it all over in like
Method.
schools, a lot of schools.
in a modern lab. They published a fascinating paper about their findings, which is completely open access, so I'll put the link in the description if you'd like to read it. There were loads of ancient recipes describing the extraction of mercury from cinnabar, but the researchers categorized all of them into two groups: cold extraction and hot extraction. With cold extraction, they said, the earliest known procedure for extracting mercury was recorded by the natural philosopher Theophrastus, who stated in his work On Stones in the 4th century BCE, mercury is produced by grinding cinnabar with vinegar in a copper mortar with a copper pestle. Modern chemists immediately recognize copper, that is, the metal from which pestles and mortars are made, as a key reagent. So what the ancient alchemists wouldn't have known is that the copper pestles and mortars were
Nonsense.
How would they not know that? How
What they
would they
wouldn't
not
have known. How arrogant. How arrogant. I mean, according to them, copper would be hard to come by, right?
Mm-hmm.
Copper wasn't just abundant and mined all over the place. It's not like it is now. Copper back then was, Would he
They had other mortar and pesters. Why the copper ones? If
stone?
they didn't
You can
know.
make it out
Yeah,
of
the stone.
stone,
Yeah.
out of marble.
Mhm.
There's all kinds of things that they made mortar and pestles out of.
Yeah,
To
that's what I
say
was
they
thinking about.
didn't
Like
use the
mortar and
copper
pestle of
for a
copper.
reason, yeah, to say they didn't do that for a reason is nonsense. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Mhm.
Actually reacting with the mercury sulfide in the cinnabar to form copper sulfide and mercury. The researchers recreated this procedure by grinding synthetic cinnabar with copper turnings and acetic acid. After an hour, they started to see droplets of liquid mercury forming. The researchers also said that it is clear that the acid, meaning the vinegar, plays a catalytic role, perhaps by removing the oxide coating on the metal surface. They then used a technique called X-ray diffraction to analyze the crystal structure of their product, and they found that the original mercury sulfide, shown in red, had been transformed into a completely different crystal structure, that of copper sulfide, shown in blue, giving evidence for the success of the reaction. So, just the simple act of grinding cinnabar with copper and vinegar can produce liquid mercury. How about the hot extraction techniques? Here, the researchers said, according to ancient sources, the hot extraction method of processing mercury from cinnabar can be divided into 3 procedures. 1. Simple heating of cinnabar. 2. Heating cinnabar in a closed vessel in the presence of iron. And 3. Heating cinnabar in the presence of so-called natron oil in a closed vessel. The first of these is just the reaction between mercury sulfide and oxygen to form sulfur dioxide and mercury. In the 1st century BC, Vitruvius, by whom Da Vinci was inspired to draw his Vitruvian Man, described how, when unrefined cinnabar was baked in a kiln to dry it out, mercury was always found on the floor of the kiln. So it seems like the simple act of heating cinnabar led to the formation of mercury. The researchers tried to recreate this method by heating synthetic cinnabar within an alumina crucible that was covered.
Okay,
Beep, 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 beep.
synthetic
Why are they doing it
cinnabar.
with synthetic cinnabar? Why don't they use just the real stuff? And
And
why
Yeah.
didn't
they're
they
doing
use
it
a
with
copper
synthetic.
bowl?
Yeah,
And
I'm
why
not
the copper-
happy about this.
I know.
Why aluminum? Why not another kiln? Because I'm going to guess that something in the kiln is reacting with it to pull it out. I'm guessing that them purifying it and making it sterile with aluminum, not one of your. In fact, it could be an anti-ingredient for. They knew better than us, but they're going to try it with that in this sterile situation, and they're going to fail. But didn't they understand that on their other process that copper was an essential part that these people were putting together the whole system? And just because they didn't mention that the copper was a reagent, this one they put it in a kiln. They didn't put it in an aluminum crucible. Okay.
And aluminum is not iron. It said it needed to be at least by
Well, it's going to
iron.
work. It's going to work a lot better with iron. Iron's going to give it a catalyst, and I bet if they put the iron in the kiln, they're even going to get a better result. But they're really hip on putting it in aluminum crucibles.
I mean, I heard that right? I'm not crazy. It said
You're not crazy.
at least by iron, near iron. It didn't say it had, yeah,
In the presence of iron.
in the presence of,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
So what are these people doing? These are scientists?
This is what I'm saying, like in doing our occult and doing, again, it's all tied together and looking at things where I've put, this is why, again, I forgot on your magnetic stuff. I've been immersing myself in a lot of heavy numbers and tech that, again, you don't really need to remember every number in that they're saying, but you can get the gist of what's going wrong with the system here watching it. I think it's
With the
very,
link.
very interesting. And red
Yeah.
mercury, I think it's interesting again that your mercury again comes from cinnabar, which is red.
Mm-hmm.
And found that liquid mercury condensed on the lid of the crucible. However, they said that the amount of oxygen estimated to be inside the crucible is insufficient to complete the reaction. To overcome this hurdle and make the extraction technique more efficient, we can assume that ancient alchemists tried to add other ingredients before roasting cinnabar in closed vessels. This brings us on to the second hot extraction method, heating cinnabar in the presence of iron.
Okay.
In this case, the mercury sulfide would react solely with the iron and not with any oxygen, giving us iron sulfide and mercury. The researchers
I
recreated
would think of like someone using that as a crucible, right? Isn't
Right.
that really popular?
Uh-huh.
Although iron.
And then when you get to the nitrile and the salt, you would almost think that, your crucible could have all of these different things. But it doesn't sound like, nothing sounds like aluminum, which again, when you look at the qualities of aluminum, why? Just why? Again, they realized that the copper was part of the other reaction. Why is there no credit? These people never ever knew what they were doing, and yet they were able to do really, really amazing things. So go ahead.
the cinnabar on a small iron plate within an alumina crucible that was then covered with a lid. Finally, we have the third and most mysterious hot extraction technique, heating cinnabar with natron oil in a closed vessel, which was described by the alchemist Pseudo-Democritus. By the way, this Pseudo-Democritus is not the same person as the philosopher Democritus, who was one of the fathers of atomic theory. If you want to learn more about him, check out my series on the history of the atom. Anyway, the reason why this method is the most mysterious of all is because it's not clear as to what natron oil actually is. According to Wikipedia, natron deposits are sometimes found in saline lake beds which arose in arid environments. So the solid form of this mineral is something that ancient civilizations had access to, but how they made it into an oil isn't clear from the alchemical documents. From translating old texts, the researchers' best guesses are that the oil form likely constituted a solution of sodium carbonate dissolved in water, oil, or vinegar. Their next step was to investigate the effect of sodium carbonate, and they found that the addition of solid sodium carbonate without any liquid vastly improved the first hot extraction method, which, remember, had led to an incomplete reaction. With the addition of sodium carbonate, the cinnabar fully converted into mercury. So sodium carbonate seems to be a very effective reagent for the production of mercury. Now to test it in a liquid form. They made up solutions of sodium carbonate dissolved in water, vinegar, and vegetable oil, and tried heating mercury sulfide in each one. For the first two solutions, although mercury was produced, no significant improvement was observed in comparison to the reactions that occurred under dry conditions. For the third solution, they couldn't manage to produce mercury at all. To summarize, many of these ancient techniques for the extraction of mercury were proven to work remarkably well. Ancient alchemists could have made the liquid metal by grinding cinnabar and vinegar with a copper pestle and mortar, or by baking the cinnabar alone, or with iron, or with some form of a sodium carbonate solution.
Well, that just seems like they could have been making huge amounts of this stuff.
Mhm.
If you find enough of that cinnabar and get, big enough factory, whatever you want to call it.
I'm thinking about the terracotta warriors, and apparently they were buried with a lot, and I mean a lot, like a river of mercury, and that's why
Okay,
they haven't been
that's
able
what
to
this
really
video is
fully-
about.
Yeah, they haven't been able to fully explore all that because it's so toxic down there.
Go ahead and finish the last few
So,
minutes of this,
given
Kyle,
enough
because it's going to
power,
tell you in.
influence, finances, and resources, perhaps it's not so crazy after all that an ancient Chinese emperor had the means to spend eternity surrounded by rivers of flowing mercury. Let me know in the comments if you've heard any other amazing stories of mercury being used throughout history. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate you subscribing. It really helps out the channel.
Qin Shi Wang.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
That was perfect, Kyle. That was exactly, they did a leading into where I cut it in there. They talked about other cultures, but then they focused on the terracotta village and this area being too toxic for them to do, that they run drones and measurements over it, and their mercury readings are high. And are there really rivers of mercury there? So good call on that.
Yeah, I remember doing a report on the terracotta warriors like forever ago. And I even started to make my own.
Okay, let me share this. I saw Karen drop this in chat. And this is a checkerboard field and filtered fields.
Think about TVs right there. Looks like pixels.
Yeah, little pixels almost. Yeah, how far they've come with controlling electricity and magnetism. It's no doubt in my mind that they've made vehicles that use this type of technology, but in a far more vast, advanced
It's
way.
interesting though, like in this particular link, they talk about what this magnetic field does is it stabilizes things. It's like it creates a
Yes.
stabilization so that it's used on the floor of the tracing boards is kind of trippy.
Mhm.
That doesn't seem like a
That's
coincidence.
exactly what I was trying to get the right words for. But yeah, your stabilization, the way they use it, the way they apply it in all technology.
It's
And
like talks
again,
about stabilization, optimization, like whatever it is, they do good. They think they can do cool things with it.
Mhm.
very intelligent design is what it sounds like to me. It's very, very intelligent design. And again, the more pieces I put together, and then when I look at the intelligent design and you actually look at our magnetics, they match it.
Yeah,
And
structure optimization.
Mm-hmm. Structure optimization. What?
keep reading.
Systems.
I went on a binge of this. I'd read
What?
like 20 different articles, and I went back and I was like, I need to grab some of these for the show. Going back on it, thinking about again the intelligence of when you look at the different pieces of it and you start putting them into what we can't see as far as what the pieces we can't see on their own. When we talk about our checkerboard pattern underneath too, and where they're finding, again, their flips and
Optimum
what they call calls.
microstructure configurations in multi-phase hierarchical systems. Like, that sounds ominous.
Length scales. Few micrometers to centimeters. Wow.
Evolve or multiple length scales over multiple length scales. From a few micrometers to centimeters. Like,
Yeah. Wow. Problem based on the maximum plastic dissipation principles. What?
I believe
I
too
think
that I
this
read
has to do
somewhere
with
they're
making
like,
semiconductors and stuff like that. Like
yeah, I think
teeny
they're your
tiny
ideal.
itsy bitsy stuff.
Zach, I think reading into it too, and I could have this one, but they're like your ideal little Gaussian plates. Something that.
Yeah, but like on a teeny tiny scale. Like they're talking about controlling things at very small increments.
Mhm.
Where was that up here?
Fractal.
mm-hmm. Which magnetic fields are fractal?
Micrometers to centimeters. So micrometers those are pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like controlling the wavelength of the magnetic breakup, and that's just amazing how far they've come with this stuff. It's almost scary thinking what they're using it for. Thank you again, Tony Coriolis, for the
This is what they're
$5 tip
doing.
over on Rockfin. He says the flat earth coin was given to Kyle Adams by Dalu,
Oh
D-A-L-U.
yeah, Ryan
Ryan
Daly.
Daly, who did the
Was a
coins.
co-host of Truthers Hour of Comedy here on YouTube's. Thank you, Tony. Much love. That was over at Rockfin where he gave that. All right. So did you?
Karen, yeah, you can go way, way, way down the rabbit hole with the magnetic patterns, what it does. The same with the quadrupole, and again, which your quadrupole is produced by your dipoles. Is occult symbolism. symbolism, is it, again, at its higher level, is it the bolder level? Is it like reflecting what the realm looks like what the actual design is? Or is it possible, again, you look back, and this I don't know, you look back at all the different histories, they used to micro it out in altars and ways to open up holes to talk to the gods. Again, with a lot of protection, we're going through, again, on the sola scripture. It's what I call I call it my personal scripture on Saturday. My sola scripture on Saturday. How when they would go, the priest would go in there, the garments they would wear would be very much like Faraday cages. You look at the Sumerian before there, and the Asherah poles and the altars they used to do. The women were in charge of weaving the garments for the poles out of the metals, and again, they do it saying that they were decorating or that, or like dressing like people dress baby dolls, but it doesn't. You would have, again, what's the purpose? They assign purpose. They assign decorative purpose, just like they make aluminum crucibles to redo experiments from things done hundreds of years ago. I don't see the sense in it. These are just things to think about.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I got
just really enjoy being able to, it's kind of like walking down a road and being able to read all the signs. And so I went out to I served my mission out in East LA, and when my first area was in Alhambra, and so all of the signs were in Chinese, and I was out there speaking Spanish. It was like, you got me in the right area here. But sure enough, there were some Spanish people in the little pockets like behind everything. Yeah, found them. But yeah, it's kind of when everything looks Chinese to you, it just kind of goes over your head. But when you can actually read the signs and understand what they mean, it changes your world. And so that's kind of, these symbols are all over the place, but so many people don't know how to read them, and so they just become blind to them after a while. You know what I mean? And so yeah, it's helpful to be able to recognize them, and so you can know about the people who are around you. And you know, it's just like every road sign that you see, it all has a purpose, it has a reason, and there's stuff we shouldn't be blind to.
Yeah, check this out. This is electrical circuit diagram symbols. A lot of, triangles, a lot of broken lines with a curve, triangles with straight, wave, wave with an arrow through it. This for a diode, I think, or
They look like ruins a lot, don't they?
yeah, a lot of these. See how these,
Mhm.
the wave sign here, there's all kinds, and we use these today. These are all signs that are used today that mean things. That common people, they look at it, they just see a little picture. And then you look at these signs,
People don't realize that these are really ancient symbols. They're thinking, oh, well, that's just, some scientist made that up like in modern days. But no, these are ancient symbols that they are adopting.
Tell me that isn't showing a quadrupole right there. Just change the symbol to a plus and a minus,
Mm-hmm.
Triangle.
These symbols, again, these are things that if you put the right filter, if
this
you
is
look
the
at through
sign
the
for
right
magnetism. The head of
filter.
the Freemasonic lodge, or not the head of the lodge, but the guy who wrote the Masonic book on magnetism, Ed Leeds Gallion. You may have heard of him. He did Coral Castle in Florida. That's his symbol for magnetism. Two of these facing each other. And
I
here
can't
it
see
is
which one you're pointing to. Oh, you're down there. Okay.
down here at the bottom. This sign, you'll see it in a lot of ironwork that's done, like railings will have this in it, or underneath, like when something comes to a T like this, whether it be like a sign or something coming off of something, a lot of times you'll see this underneath it. That's an occult symbol. In Freemasonry, that's a sign for magnetism. But yeah, a lot of these, they look just like the symbols we use today. A lot of these things. Tell me these don't look like some sort of electrical schematic. We'll go back. Look at it.
Yeah, the triangles and stuff is a pretty
Yeah.
recurrent.
Karen, for a fun coincidence, or it is because it's just a little bit off. I need to go into the exact degrees and what level, but Mercury, what temperature does Mercury crystallize or become solid? And it happens to be at -40, and you could say 39 or 40. What different? That's where the scales converge between Celsius and Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
So I thought that was a fun.
that is interesting.
Because Mercury is our only metal that's liquid at room temperature, and where it does become solid is they have marked -39 to -40 on it. But if it's right at the -40 on it, again, that's our crossover for our scales.
Wonder what that one. I mean, a lot of these. It's just wild. These are a little more, basic rundown. It's like going from ancient Hebrew to Paleo Hebrew right here.
I was thinking the exact same thing there. I was just
Yeah,
thinking,
these are a little bit
kind of
more
the cool thing
intricate.
about learning Hebrew is you start to
Alchemy
pick things up.
symbols.
They really uncover and say, oh, this is what this means, and yeah. And
You should look up
all
alchemy
teaching
symbols.
I will right now.
I mean, I'd put a link in there, but you could just look it up. Look up any. You could just put in alchemy symbols, and you'll get.
Let's see, images. Oh yeah, yeah. Jeez, oh Pete. Okay, let me go into this one, and I'm gonna zoom. Oh, come on. I can get a better one than that. Okay, here's one. I want to get one with like a lot of them on there. There we go. Show me a good picture. Yeah, that's not a bad picture. Okay, we'll drag this one over here.
There you go.
Yeah, look at that. All the similarities.
Make it big.
Tell me
Make it
this
bigger.
right here. Oh, let me see.
There
Yeah,
I see that stuff in
wow.
science like frequently, I think.
Mm-hmm.
PC.
Look at that. All this. Oh, why is this green box? I don't like it. Stop it. Quintessence. Yeah, this is neat because it tells you what they all are to the right of them.
See down there how there's a 33 symbol?
Yeah.
I was looking at an alchemy symbol where 33 was in here. On this one I was looking at earlier, it was the symbol for cinnabar or mercury sulfide.
Wow. See, me being a ZZ, I see my initials right there.
This is not in English.
2 capital Z's. Yeah, I'm not sure what that filter, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Filter. But yeah, look at all these are old alchemical signs. Here's electrical schematics. Look at that right there. See that one? Then we'll go just upside down, kind of. Yeah, they all have meanings. That's what I think. All of, where's it at?
And they also usually include like the same symbols from the zodiac, and each zodiac will be associated with a like a property, like a mineral or something. Like the sun is gold, the moon is silver.
Plants as well. Alchemists had all kinds of different plants that were assigned to certain days of the week, which had a certain, planet that ruled that day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And all kinds of, like the moon was Monday, the sun was Sunday.
Mars is Tuesday.
Yeah.
because Marty,
No.
even when you look at that, like in other names for days of the week, like French, Tuesday is Mardi, right? Mardi Gras that happens on a Tuesday. So, and it's
Mhm.
also known as Mars Day.
Fat Tuesday.
When you stop and think, where does all of this come into reality too? Does it? It does. They did scientific, they were doing tests over when you grow crystals and do things on litmus test on how things grow. And they found they grew things indoors, outdoors, under different lighting conditions. And they checked it all on litmus tests as they were doing it. And what they found that was unusual is elements grow differently with different planetary alignments. And it got even fun because they did work where Mercury grew fastest when Mercury was like above in the sky. In other words, they seem to affect growth rates and vibrations, or again, the things of what was going on.
Maybe that's why they named it Mercury.
Mercury.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Oh, look at those symbols.
Oh, scroll down on here. This one. Go ahead. This is Solomon's Temple.
Yeah, tell me that doesn't look like a schematic of some sort.
Oh, yeah.
Keep scrolling down. There's a better one for you.
That's the bottom right there.
The bottom right there. This is like Solomon's Temple. I saw that and I couldn't just help not seeing a battery.
A what?
I mean, I have
A battery.
A battery. I mean, this one was funny. This is pareidolia, but I even see on the very bottom one, I even see like, here's the positive where you put the positive and the negative is on the other side of it. This is where scoping into pareidolia when you look at enough of these things where it's like, holy cow, that's an actual look. That's a battery. I'm sure it's not, but I have a feeling that there really is intelligent design into this. It's not really a 9-volt battery or what it's looking like in my eyes, but
Holy of holies.
I do believe that when they talk about a Masonic tracing board, and this is where they need to place and measure and do things, that there's reason to it. They show the compass, they show the scales. Everything must be measured out and to scale. We know things are fractal, but for resonance in that size, and again, the resonance would have a lot of meaning. So placement and how they put down this information, I think, again, they would want to put it in different places that it can't be lost in one area. But if anybody found it, they wouldn't understand. So the safest way to do this is put this information everywhere and everything where you can befuddle it a lot.
Now, I had watched a documentary on this, and supposedly Solomon built it where he built it. Well, not probably the main reason. I'm not sure what the story is, but it was on top of a cave site. There was an underground cave, that led up to this point, and they found supposedly like a thing that would, if something was like hit, like you step on, like on Indiana Jones, you step on the floor here, and then all of a sudden it sets off this counterweight system. And it said it would let the ark go down into that cave system, and then they could take it and get it to wherever the cave led to, if anybody was invading or something like that. I don't know how true it was.
Well, if they had a piece of equipment that, again, that you have built and could, with your pulsar, that actually will that kind of power, I would think that they would want to, if it's a way to open up and talk with. I don't know if we all saw, or maybe not all of us, but a lot of us saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, and everybody melting in that. I don't know if it's just a matter of opening the lid and everybody melting, but you do know that in a lot of history, again, a lot of preparation was taken to be around, a lot of protection was given. And so you have something that's very, very special to these people. And at least in history, they believe it's their way of direct communication with, and who are we to say differently? On it, but I would think that would want protecting. I would think that would be something that you would protect more than anything. I can't think of anything you would protect more.
I'm just thinking about how many of these symbols you might see on like a coat of arms or something.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I'm getting lost in this. I think that's going to do it, though. Yeah, a lot of these, I mean, these are alchemical symbols, right? But these, when we look at these, don't be scared of them, you know? And don't go and listen to just what anybody tells you they mean either, you know, because just think about it a little bit. When you see all these other schematics and signs out there that we use nowadays that look very similar to these, I look at this as being, you know, the physics of old. This is how they explained it. This is how, you know, the electricians of old talked to each other. And the people that worked in all the fields, you know, to create the pyramids, you had to have a society that was, you know,
Working together.
working. Yeah, they had, you know, a lot of people speaking to each other in special fields. They had special education for this. It wasn't, yeah, you got to think of it more advanced than we are probably right now. So these shouldn't be feared. This is, you know, the language of the wise people of old. You know, this is how the scientists of old, the engineers of old, the electricians of old, this is how they spoke to each other with these symbols and signs. And now they call it occulted because they don't want us knowing how old this stuff is.
Yeah, right now I'm suddenly thinking of the prophecy of Daniel or Nebuchadnezzar's dream, where he's seeing the image with that's made out of different kinds of material, and it's often referring to like the feet of a mixture of iron and clay, and it's like parts of it are strong and parts of it are weak, but it's very divided, and that's supposed to represent like our day and things like that. And so I'm just kind of thinking about that because our day is like really scattered and undivided. It's very, very divided compared to all these previous times before us. We're not described as the golden age by any means. We're not like the head. And so, yeah, I think that kind of tells you a little bit about kind of the unity of the world and kind of the way things are and the way things are going. And so, yeah, I think the world is kind of falling apart, becoming, even though we're like in the information age, in some ways we are becoming very united, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Polarizing times, to say the least.
Very
right
polarizing
now.
times.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing is that I don't think the information itself, like much like a gun or that much. I mean, I think a gun or a weapon is a good thing. They've weaponized most of this and made us scared or frightened to look at it, which makes me curious now with the gun because I feel that they're hiding truth. Could there be evil in here? Yes, but evil would be evil is not a thing. Evil is a choice people make. So it would be the information, it would be how you would use the information. Trying to understand the information versus using the information for evil are two very, very different things in my book. And to, I don't know, to like call it, for the fact that they don't, again, the emphasis in the church and that don't look at this is evil, and the entire thought that evil is a noun, not a verb, is what's really changed in my life, and my like being able to look at things, and again with an open mind and saying, it's not looking at the stuff that's evil, it's looking at it and making a choice, making a choice with it that would cause evil, a choice that would harm somebody with it. I don't trust the people that told me it was evil anymore.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think what the evil thing would be if you're kind of told, I've got to keep this secret, and if you're out there sharing the secrets, that would be evil, at least in their eyes. You know what I mean? And so that's why they're trying to like, don't be looking into that stuff because we're trying to keep it secret. And so, yeah, exposing the secrets can be kind of the taboo, and that's why that could be a huge reason why they're
But
calling.
who knows the secrets and what are they using the secrets for right now?
Yeah.
I see what they're using the secrets for. I see how we're selectively breeding. I see the different choices we're making as humanity and how we are playing gods. And so it's like I, at this point, want to call shenanigans on them all.
Yeah.
And on that note, you guys have a
It's
great
evil
night.
for you to expose our secrets. And that's kind of a thing.
It's like then you
Well,
should be
I
using
don't
your
think
secrets for
I
evil.
don't think they see us as evil. They see the people that took a vow of, silence that
Yeah.
shares it as evil.
breaking your oaths.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I didn't take
Yeah.
any oath.
Yeah, exactly.
me
We're
either.
more just
I made
kind
no
of.
privacy.
I
We're
don't
the
even think we're
profane.
opposition. Exactly.
We're the
I don't.
profane.
They don't see us as opposition either. I don't think. I really don't. I mean,
We're
they
the-
could take any one of us out anytime they wanted and make it look like an accident. I mean, come on. These very, very powerful people hiding this stuff.
Well, stuff happens.
Yeah, they
I just
haven't.
look at Rob
Yeah.
Skiba. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just
We're the
I don't-
profane. Look
Yeah.
up profane. That's what we are. That's what they consider everybody else. The profane.
Mhm.
But I think that's all the more reason why we need the network, is so we can be aware of stuff like that. When things go down, we can immediately know about it.
Mhm.
What they don't want, and that's kind of the big thing. That's why it's really important for us to attend the meetups and stuff, is so we can be networked. We can have the strength in numbers, you know what I mean? And when we start to do these gatherings, that's when the government starts to turn their heads and say, oh, we got to do something about these guys, and try to divide us. That's divide and conquer is their whole tactic. And so stand united, don't be divided.
Well said. Well, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. That was a fun one. I had never even thought of electrical schematics and things like that we see today and stuff as that's today's occult symbolism. It's taught if you go searching for them. You have to pay for that knowledge.
Yeah, it's
So
right there.
it's-
Chemistry, it's all over the place. And I
Yeah.
just think about how much money the educational system gets for just teaching you these things. And so, hey, don't tell those people, because then we're not going to make any money by telling you the same things. Don't say it for free. It's kind of
And yeah, it's really neat seeing a lot of our advanced technologies right now that we're getting into with creating these checkerboard patterns with magnetic fields and electrical fields and controlling things. And they're finding that it makes everything more stable and more easier to manipulate. And then you look at the old tracing boards and all these other things, and they're all checkerboard floors. It makes you wonder, how much did the ancients actually know, and how much of that do we actually know that the ancients knew? How much of that has been passed down, how much was lost? I would love to go through the Vatican library, their basement library, and just Xerox everything and then translate it, and then spend the rest of my life reading all that stuff, because I'm sure it tells so much knowledge that is just hidden from us, and to where it's not even, most people don't know it. Even the highest occulted people in these occult systems don't know it. So
still learning.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for the show. Kyle, do you have anything coming up this week you want people to hear about? I know there's the meetup happening here.
Yeah, I got the meetup coming up. I just got a video about archery mechanics out yesterday that people were really looking forward to, because I was talking about Newton's third law over there. And it's just like, okay, if you're drawing an arrow and you're pulling that back, the only way that arrow can happen, or the arrow can get launched, is if the power of the string overcomes the inertia of the arrow, and that's what puts it into motion. And yet Newton's third law is saying for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. And so, okay, if that arrow is putting an equal amount of force on that string, that arrow isn't going to move anywhere. And so I just kind of was talking about a whole bunch in that area. And it's just like that. It doesn't make any sense. The arrow puts an equal amount of force on that string. What? That's yeah.
Yeah.
How did that ever become a law? Like seriously.
No, and I think didn't Newton say that I forget. I know Austin was talking about that with it. About how even Newton wrote that this third law didn't work or something like that. There was some kind of contention there.
Yeah. But I was talking to Danny Faulkner about it, and he made a little video and kind of responded. But it's really funny when you get doctors who are responding and criticizing videos that they never watched. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this book, there's like a biblical passage about that, about don't criticize books you've never read before, or something along those lines. And wish I need to memorize that one.
Don't judge a book by its cover, kind of thing.
Yeah, don't criticize things to which you have no understanding of, or something.
All right, yeah. Everybody, go check out some of all the videos Kyle's done just this last week. He's been pumping them out, and there was one in there. It was a long interview, I believe, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I've got some big interviews. I did an interview with Flat Matt from Salt Lake. He's the Utah area flat earth captain, I guess you could say, because he is the one that does like the really big meetups for all of Utah, and he's got like a whole committee over there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that puts them together. And and so I was really impressed with that, and so I'm learning from him because my St. George meetups are a lot smaller compared to his, but again, we've got a smaller population out and St. George than Salt Lake does. But it's really cool to see what he's done.
Yeah, those are awesome to just, put on the earphones and go do yard work, and just, yard work just flies right by then. You don't even notice you're doing it. Yeah, great stuff, Kyle. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks.
Karen, got anything you want to shout out? Are you going to be doing a show tomorrow morning by chance?
I might be.
Maybe.
I probably will.
All right, cool. I gotta finish cutting up the rest of that tree. All I have left is the big trunk laying there on the ground, and it's round. I don't feel like cutting through it again with an axe.
I didn't even get tired of that fast.
But it's good exercise. I'm gonna get out there again tomorrow, see if I can't cut that thing in half.
I've been doing that with my mulberry tree. I've got this great big mulberry tree in my front yard, and I've been sawing off branches and feeding to my guinea pigs. And it's been funny. But they're like, my neighbor comes out, I can give you a chainsaw. I've got a chainsaw here for him. Like, I need the exercise. So,
after this, I do have a premiere for and one of the talks from Flattoberfest, because I started editing the rest of the talks. So Ben Balderson's talk will premiere at 9 p.m. on my channel. If you guys missed it, if you want to go watch it. Yeah,
Ben's awesome.
Yeah, and it's a really good talk. He just does a talk about basic alchemy, and he also talks about the alchemy where you actually use on plants, and he also talks about the spiritual alchemy side. So it's actually a pretty cool talk. So
yeah, that's the difference between alchemy and chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Alchemy, you put your intent into your work. You were trying to make your body as pure and
right, but it's about improving yourself. It's good with good intent, right?
Yeah, it's all about improving yourself, or making medicine for others to improve themselves, not to manipulate the way they think or things they do, things like that. Which, so that's when they switched alchemy at the time. I forget his name. It eludes me right now, but he was furious about it. He was not happy. He was like, so you're just killing 50% of this
the spirituality
art.
Of it. And
the spirituality,
I think that's kind of the major division between like Eastern medicine and versus Western medicine. Is Eastern, they still, acknowledge the spirituality of it all.
I thought that the video we showed tonight gave a perfect analogy of it, just showing that like the alchemists automatically, of course, consider the container and what he was making it out of, because it would absorb a part of the process, and the chemist made it a outside of it, again, did not take it into consideration, except for saying in amazement that, oh, they couldn't have possibly known this. So we're not going to carry that thought over. But again, it's the alchemist looks at the whole. Everything is a part of it, where the chemist thinks they can isolate things in a vacuum chamber and they perfect conditions to control. And again, it's you get a different result. You get a very different. Again, using the whole is just a cleaner, pure. It's a smarter approach. So we're stepping back.
So, Cammie, do you have anything coming up you want to shout out?
Shout out to everybody. Shout out to
No,
the
roller skating on Tuesday nights.
Roller skating on Tuesday
Anybody
nights.
in the area? What's the Hot Wheels in Spartanburg? Hot Wheels roller rink.
I fell last week on my butt. So if anybody wants to see Cammie fall, because I'm going to try it again, show up Hot Wheels on Tuesday night. That's so bad, but true. It's okay. Yeah, trying to get going and get things out there, get energy going for springtime and summer, and find reasons to go. There's so much to be done.
If you ever feel like you're going to fall while roller skating, always try to fall forward, because you'll catch yourself in the fall.
Oh, no. You don't want to catch yourself with your hands. You
break
your hands and your wrists, and always fall on your butt. If you're going to fall, your butt's the biggest muscle. It's got the most cushion. You get as low as you can to the ground, and you just drop on your butt. Boom. It's not going to be great. Not going to feel
for my kids,
good.
We all catch ourselves before we even hit the ground, because.
Oh yeah, no. If you're gonna fall, though, fall on your butt. You don't want to put your arms down. That's broken wrist or broken arm. Or I've seen it. Oh, it's gross. Right in front of me a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't fall forward. Catch yourself forward, but fall backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catch yourself forward. So it's kind of more like sitting down, I guess you could say. Just kind of get lower to the ground. If you feel like you're kind of losing your balance, just bend your knees. And yeah,
that is the same roller rink that I went to last time that we all went to.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It is the same.
There's one patch in the rink that is a little, just teeny tiny rough, but it's a nice roller rink as far as the rink.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's a roller rink. You're not going to get, velvet this or that and chandeliers and yada, yada, yada. It's a roller rink, but it's nice. It's clean. It's got good lighting and good sound. The music is not my choice. I'd rather probably go on right now. I'd be getting done rollerblading if we went on tonight. They have adult night where they play 80s and 90s stuff. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, but okay. So for me, you can always catch me tonight or tomorrow night. I think we're doing another premiere for Iron Realm Media. I know Walt has previous engagements, so we might be doing one. I'm not 100% sure, but we will be there for tomorrow morning show at 5 a.m. over on freeworld.fm or Iron Realm Media podcast channel, I think it's called. It's our backup channel. We'll be back in March, late March on the original channel. But yeah, we have fun over there at Free World FM. It's we're trying to get that thing going. Billy Ray Valentine, truther for a long time, started his own truth platform and trying to get it going and off the ground.
Truth Frequency Radio?
Yeah, he was. He was actually trying to buy Truth Frequency Radio for a while.
Oh.
From Chris and Cherie, and that fell through. So he just went ahead and started his own. He's got a few big names over there. I know Wayne McCroy's over there doing his thing all the time. Yeah.
I just don't like the globe in the logo.
I know. Believe me, I know. It drove me nuts too. He's slowly thinking about possibly changing it, but yeah.
Don't even have a globe or a world or Earth anything. Just have it say free world, like in cool font or something, and that would be just fine, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I know. But yeah, he's still, he he's one of those who is kind of hasn't really looked into flat Earth all that much.
Hmm.
He knows that we're out here. He knows that we're not crazy. He's been doing a lot. I mean, just getting this thing off the ground has been a lot of work.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think he's still going to school and work and all kinds of stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stigma out there for conspiracy theorists, right? But people just need to realize that a conspiracy is just any kind of crime that is committed by two or more individuals. And so anytime someone goes and robs a bank in a group of two or more, that's a conspiracy fact. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so, our world really depends on people believing in conspiracy theories. Every police officer should believe in conspiracy theories. And so I think that's one of the things I want to do is I want to go to the universities around me and go interview people and say, what's a conspiracy theory you believe in? Because people shouldn't just write off conspiracy theorists. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory, whatever. People need to take this stuff seriously because, yeah, it is serious stuff.
I'm sure it was taken seriously until JFK when they turned it into a, tinfoil hat wearing type of idea. It was only crazy people who thought of conspiracy theories. That was pushed big
Every
during the
police
whole
officer wants to be
JFK.
a crazy person now, but in
Yeah.
some cases that's more true than anything.
Well, all right, we're gonna head out of here. Thank you all for joining the show. Had a good time. And we will be back again next week.
Alrighty.
So until then, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind because there's truth inside. Peace out, everyone.
Peace out.
Peace and war.
Peace.